It's good afternoon, Dr. Jodi Richardson. Welcome to Yellow Shelf.
Thank you for having me, Joe. Great to be here.
I have been wanting to have you on the show. Your podcast show is called Well, Hello, Anxiety. Congratulations. Tell us all about it.
Oh, thank you. Look, the name itself says a lot, Joe. Well, hello, anxiety. It's Anxiety is something that I've lived with for most of my life, and also as a professional, I spend time in schools and workplaces around the country talking about anxiety and stress and well-being. And I know with anxiety that it stands in the way of people doing a lot of what they want to do, need to do, would like to do. And so every day I say to my anxiety, well, hello, anxiety, what are we doing together? Because the struggle with anxiety just makes it so much worse.
Yeah.
And so it's a podcast for people who want to understand more about it, who want to feel like they're not alone, that they're seen and understood by a host who lives with it, but also through guests and really conversational kind of chats about all aspects of mental health, well-being, and anxiety, and lots of practical tools as well.
Yeah, and Jodi, you've been podcasting like you have hundreds and hundreds of episodes. It commenced in 2021, is that correct?
Yes, it did. And if we cast our minds back, we'll all know that that was the time of COVID. And that was really why my mental health was the worst it's been in a long time, as many Melburnians would have found, and Sydney-siders and just global population
Yeah.
struggled. But we were in lockdown here in Melbourne, and as a keynote speaker,
Mm.
I normally spend a lot of time on stages in places talking to people in person. Of course, all of that ground to a halt. Whilst we did move to working on Zoom, I felt that, gosh, I've got a lot of expertise, a lot of experience, a lot of knowledge, and so much compassion for anyone going through a hard time with their mental health. What can I do? How can I do something to make a difference? And that's when I thought, yes, I'm going to start a podcast. And right here from this very desk was where I began, but very thankful now that my podcast is now produced in a studio by Positive Media.
Yeah, well done. Um, I think people need to go back and listen even to old episodes or go through your vault because there are aspects to anxiety that we don't even know are in our lives, whether it's through our kids or, for women, middle-aged men, whatever. Like it doesn't discriminate. And I often think about anxiety that's crept up on me, Jodi, in recent years, or I've seen it in my children or extended family. Maybe I had it and I didn't know I had it 20, 30 years ago. So maybe it didn't have a name for me back then. Yeah, I think anxiety, what your podcast does so well is it invites us into a level of understanding, hearing from experts, hearing from the community. And yeah, your podcast helps us be okay with what we're going through.
I'm so glad to hear that that's what shines through because when look, anxiety can be just so debilitating. It really can. And like I'm medicated for my anxiety. I can think back and
Yeah.
see that I've had it since I was a really little girl, but nobody like back then understood
Yes.
it. So same as you, and so many adults feel like, gosh, they sort of see their story in mine because it's so
Yes.
common for a lot of us to get to adulthood and go, or something to happen for us to sort of start
Mm.
to understand ourselves more.
Yeah.
And when I began it, I wasn't sure, would I do a podcast for parents? Would I do a podcast for people with anxiety? And in the end, I decided I'm going to do a podcast that kind of covers all of the aspects
Yes.
all of the different, people who struggle with it, men and women and parents and professionals. So
Yeah.
there's an episode for everyone. It's a good
Definitely.
idea to have a look through the vault because you might just find exactly what you need right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I know personally, anxiety comes for me in waves. So yeah, you mentioned it at the front of the interview where the title of your podcast is even making it welcoming into our lives, being okay with it. And that's exactly what your episodes do. So well done, Jodi.
Thank you, Joe. No, I'm really proud of it. I love being a podcaster, and It's just, it feels like to me a real privilege to be able to kind of share what I'm learning along the way and bringing other people into the conversation as well. So thank you.
Yeah. And look, you have this awesome voice too to listen to. So that's lovely as well. So that's a compliment I wanted to share with you personally. It's nice and comforting and warm to hear your episodes. So
Oh, Joe, thank you for saying that. Have I got a moment for just a very
yeah,
quick
yeah.
anecdote? Thank you. I do get that feedback, but it's funny, isn't it, when we hear ourselves on a podcast, we we often sort of think we sound so much different to perhaps how
Yeah,
other people hear us. But
yeah,
one woman, I did an episode around suicide, and one woman wrote to me and said that her daughter had an attempt at her life, and that she had to drive a long way to the hospital to visit her daughter, who was safe, and then home again. And she tuned into that episode just to listen and understand more and to be comforted in a desperate, devastating time of her life, trying to drive safely and
yeah.
feel supported. And I just was so moved to tears when I read that note from her, because you just never know whose lives you're going to touch and the difference you're going to
Yes.
make. And so yeah, it feels, yeah, it's just, yeah, I sort of pinch myself that I get to do this, and yeah, I'm very lucky.
Oh, look, thank you for sharing that because that's exactly that does not surprise me. I think people will find new episodes or episodes in the vault that they'll just be able to connect with. And you, as the facilitator and the connector and the host, do so well at that. So, Jody, if we're curious, no matter where we're watching or listening around the world, I'll put in the show notes. But do you want people to go to your website? Where's the best place to connect with you?
Oh, thanks, Joe. Look, yeah, my website is drjodirichardson.com, DRJODI. And so that's a really good place. You'll find the podcast and more about me and my work, but socials as well. If you're on Instagram, that's where I'm really active. So come and say hello.
Yeah, I'll put all that in the show notes. Jody, thank you so much for joining us. All the best.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.